A chicken and onion stew doesn't sound that interesting, does it? Well, I'm a fool for waiting this long before trying Moghrabieh, and if you don't make it this week, you are as well. This Lebanese dish is one of the warmest spice things I've made on the channel. Chicken stock is infused with caraway and cinnamon, then cooked with some giant pearl couscous for a delicious and fun texture. To me, it tastes like chicken gravy on steroids, but I'll leave that up to you to test.
To get started, we'll need to make a good flavourful stock, and it's important that you freshly make this as we'll be cooking the Moghrabieh in it, so the flavour will really shine through. The stock we're making today is a chicken stock, and unlike some of the other ones we have done on the channel, we're purposefully making this as clear and mild tasting as possible. That way you'll get an intense chicken flavour in the finished dish that doesn't hide the flavour of our onions. This dish can also be made with beef, so you can do that or even make a vegetarian stock. In our case, we started with a small chicken which weighs around 1 kilogram. These small chickens make clearer stock as they usually have less fat, and unlike a big chicken they can easily fit into a pot without being cut. Cutting a chicken exposes more bone and blood vessels, which in turn produce more scum, and we definitely don't want that. Place your chicken into a stock pot, then pour over loads of water to completely submerge it. Now turn your heat up to high, then cover the pot with a lid, which will help it come to a boil quicker. Once it has boiled, there'll be all this foamy scum on the surface, and for a proper clear broth, this stuff needs to be removed. It's basically coagulated proteins which come from the bones and meat, and for a super clear stock, you'd throw out all the water and start again with clean water, but personally I just skim off all of the scum. Using a spoon or ladle, remove the scum and discard it. It will keep regenerating for a short while, so continue to do that until you're happy that there isn't much left. When it looks like this, you can add the rest of the ingredients, starting with 2 medium onions chopped in half, or 4 if yours are really small like mine. Next we'll add our aromatics, which are 4 cloves of garlic, 3 bay leaves, a small stick of cinnamon, 10 cardamom pods and 1 teaspoon of black peppercorns. Finally add in 1 tablespoon of salt and our stock is ready to be simmered. Turn the heat down to medium and then set a timer for 45 minutes, which will give our stock plenty of time to infuse. Once your timer goes off, you'll pull out the chicken. It should be perfectly cooked and we'll get that ready a bit later. In the meantime, use a spider or slotted spoon to fish out all of the onion as well as the whole spices. These can be thrown away because all their flavour will be in the broth, and hopefully yours is as clear as this. The fat that's floating on the surface will enhance the flavour, and I wouldn't blame you for stealing a mug for yourself. In the meantime, we'll need to get some miniature onions ready, as they're the beating soul of this dish. All you need is 750 grams of small onions, and they'll usually be labelled as pickling or baby onions. The reason they have to be small is because we're cooking them whole, and you want whole chunks of onion in the dish rather than individual layers. First up, they all need to be peeled, and I found the easiest way is to top and tail the onion, then use a knife to cut through the first layer of onion flesh. It should then be pretty easy to unwrap the rest of the onion, and voila! Naked onions, which didn't take that much time to peel. With that out of the way, pour 3 tablespoons of olive oil into a pan over medium heat, then once it's heated, add in all of your peeled onions. These are going to be sauteed for about 10 to 15 minutes, stirring occasionally, during which the flesh will caramelise and start to soften. You don't want to cook these all the way though, so once they have a decent amount of browning like this, they're pretty much done. And now we finally get to the stage where we put everything together, but before we do that, let's give a warm welcome to today's star ingredient, Moghrabieh. Technically speaking, it's a dry pasta made from durum wheat, which is the same thing that couscous is made from, hence this also being known as pearl or giant couscous. When cooked, the Moghrabieh more than doubles in size, and it has a unique texture which is really satisfying. I'll leave a link to this stuff in the description, but take care because there is another durum pasta called giant couscous which is a lot smaller. That one has an almost pill shape, and while it has its uses, it's not the right kind of couscous for this dish. If you can't get the right pasta, then you can just use orzo, but it probably won't have the same texture. In a pot over medium heat, add 2 to 3 tablespoons of butter, then when it's melted add in 400 grams of the Moghrabieh. Fry this in the butter for about 3 to 4 minutes, then we can add our spices to season. The first one is 1.5 tablespoons of ground caraway, and although it seems like a lot, it will give our Moghrabieh a crazy warm flavour. Follow that up with half a teaspoon each of cinnamon, Baharat or 7 spice, ground cumin and black pepper. Add in a quarter teaspoon of cloves and then toss everything together to coat the Moghrabieh in the spices. Finally, you'll pour in 2 litres of the chicken stock we made, making sure to filter it to remove any leftover aromatics. Turn the heat up to high and give the pot a good mix, and you want to bring it to a light boil before turning the heat to medium and covering with a lid. Cook this for 10 to 15 minutes, stirring the pot every minute or so and making sure to agitate all of the pasta so it doesn't stick. Once your pasta has inflated to 1.5 times its size, you'll add in all of the onions that we fried earlier. Follow that up with 500 grams of cooked chickpeas, and this was 2 cans of chickpeas which I drained and washed. Give the pot a really good mix, and now we need to cook it until the sauce thickens. The starch from the pasta combined with the chickpeas should be enough to give the stock a saucy texture. When your sauce has this velvety look to it, you're pretty much ready to serve. All that's left is to shred the chicken. Now I doubt you need detailed steps for this, just make sure you get rid of all of the skin and bones, then break the chicken up into fairly large but still bite-sized pieces. I kept my light and dark meat separate to fight off the fussy hordes, and then I got to serving. Add a few spoonfuls of the Moghrabieh to a bowl, making sure there are plenty of onions and chickpeas with it, then pour over more of the sauce. Finally add some pieces of shredded chicken, and I gave these a quick dunk in the sauce for some added flavour. Truth be told, there's something magical about the combination of chicken stock, onions and spices that give the dish a warm gravy-like flavour, and I personally love it. I'll be eating this a lot in the winter, and I hope you'll be doing that too.
Onions, chicken, chickpeas and the Moghrabieh. That's a good bite. That is outstanding. I certainly wasn't expecting this to pack in so much flavour, and it really is so well suited to the kind of cold weather we've been having. If you want more dishes to help with the cold weather, click this video for a fantastic recipe.